kind of feel like it's very much a temptation if you have friends that are of the opposite sex and you're married. It's just, there's a temptation there. Right. The thing is, when you have friendships and you have your relationship, you're getting a lot of the same things. There's a lot of overlap. Like when you look for, what are the things that you look for in a good friend? You want someone who is supportive of you.
Right.
You want someone who's loyal to you. You want someone who provides companionship. These are things that you get from your partner in relationship and marriage too, right? You're looking for a lot of the same things.
Absolutely.
So if you're kind of getting a lot of the same things in those relationships, it can cross the line really, really easily, right? At some point. Welcome to the Womanhood Lectures, where we bring you topics on issues that matter to you, the modern day woman. I'm Yasmin.
And I'm Lyra. Please like, subscribe, and share. We are available on YouTube, Rumble, as well as on Spotify. Today, we have an interesting topic because we had somebody actually reach out and ask us what we thought about having a relationship, friendship,
platonic relationship
with somebody when you're married.
Particularly,
and since we're both married.
yeah, with the opposite sex.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought that was really fun. And so it brought up a really great conversation between us.
For sure. I think we're a bit catty at one point, were we?
Probably a little bit. And so we thought, you know what? Let's just talk about this on the show. So thank you so much for commenting and writing in about this because, we wanted to actually have a conversation about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to start by asking you a question.
Go ahead.
Do you have male friends outside of your marriage?
I don't.
Okay.
I have people that I know, like acquaintances that I say hi and bye to, right?
Okay.
If I see them at the gym or if I see them in a workplace setting, for sure. But nobody that I'm...
Like not a close
male
buddy or...
No, it's very hard to have that. Particularly because you spend a lot of time with your partner, right? So I spend a lot of time with my partner outside of my work, outside of gym, outside of my life. So it'd be weird. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's the question. Like, would it be, could you ever see yourself? Like, have you ever had close male friends in your life maybe before you were married?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
And did you find that there was always a level of attraction there, or was it just very platonic for you?
So the truth is that I feel that it could be platonic for me, but it's not platonic for the male that's involved. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
So setting that fine line and that boundary was difficult prior to, settling down and obviously getting married.
Yeah.
Because you don't know or feel comfortable with what that means. So I could be like, hey, we're just friends. I love you like a friend. But that other person has feelings or maybe has a little bit more of an inclination to like me in a different way. So I never had control over that. And I've always felt like, I'm going to step back. This is probably not appropriate. You can't have those type of relationships when you're settled and married to somebody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like were your male friendships different from your female friendships when you were single?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So was there just more space between you guys? Was it just less intimate in terms of emotions, hanging out together, that sort of thing?
Hanging out together, definitely. There was a bit of confiding for sure. Confiding in certain situations that were happening, life, going out, having certain things that we like to do together. Had a really good friend that we would definitely party on the weekends, right?
Okay.
But as we got older, I noticed that he actually did have a thing for me. So, and it was one of those things I had to pull away and say, hey, I'm not interested that way. So I think there was a little bit of hurt involved. But now that I'm settled and I'm married, I asked the question, and when we were posed that question, I kind of threw it to my husband too. Having outside friendships or outside relationships, there's certain things that you experience with them, right? Now, if you have a difficult marriage and you're having intimacy issues and you're not spending time with your wife or you're not engaging in relationship things with your wife and you're having problems, I mean, the last thing that you would do is just start a platonic relationship with another female or another or somebody of the opposite sex. Do you know what I mean? It would be the wrong time to do it. If you have a great relationship and this person is somebody both you and your partner know, and you have an experience with them that doesn't entail all of these things, these intimate things, then by all means, I mean, it works for some people to have it. And I think that's where you and I were a little bit.
Yeah, different. It's interesting. Well, and you know what? The stats kind of support you, right?
Okay.
Because I was reading an article from a psychologist, Dr. Service, and he was talking about how when looking at all the stats and research that's been done in this area, men tend to see those friendships as there's more of a chance of a man seeing a platonic relationship as a potential to leading into a romantic relationship, whereas for women there's less of a chance. So those are numbers speaking, so you're kind of right on that, where it's like, you know, men might tend to see that there's an opportunity there where women may not. Okay.
Makes sense.
The other thing that came up, interestingly enough, is that men are more likely to perceive that when they have feelings for their female friend, that the female friend is also having those feelings. So they tend to perceive that, like, oh, I'm liking her, and maybe reading all her signals as she's also interested, whereas women, not so much. So when a woman kind of lays a line and says, no, this is really just a platonic friendship, they tend to be more accurate with their feelings.
Got it.
And but then a little bit more naive with not realizing that a man could be interested in them through that friendship. So you're right on that one. There is more of a potential for sure. But I do think, so I know for you were saying, you know, there's probably, it's kind of an easy no. I don't think that could really work very well. Yeah.
It's a no. If there was somebody that was part of my husband's life prior to us being married, and this person was respectful to me and we had an understanding of some sort, totally appreciate that. You know what I mean? But as you're, you know, married for a very long time, or maybe the time that you spend together, all of a sudden, if there's just some random person that appears and, you know, all of a sudden it's like, well, this is my girlfriend. And it's like, okay, tell me more, right? Like, you would want to know why.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Why a man would need that as a married person, need another woman around. Sorry, but it's true, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You'd be like, that's kind of sus.
Yeah.
Right? Who, what?
And you know what? It's like, there's a part of you that's like, okay, am I a jealous person? Am I being jealous? Like, you know, you don't want to be like, everybody hates that word, jealousy.
Yeah.
But like, well, how else would you describe it? Like, of course you'd be like, hey, why is my husband spending this time with this woman? And what does she have, or what is going on, or what is she fulfilling for him that I'm not? Like,
yeah, that's the thought. That's definitely the thought. That
maybe
would go
she likes ketchup on her fries, right? I'm just saying that because my husband likes ketchup, right? Or like, maybe there's something that she's doing for him that I'm not. So of course there's going to be that question, like, lurking in the back of your mind. Like,
Yeah. So, you'd wonder. I know my husband doesn't have close female friends. He has sisters. So they kind of fulfill that female connection outside of me.
Right.
So maybe that's just by virtue of the fact that he has sisters. He's like, why would I need, he literally would say to me, why would I be friends, like close friends with other females when I have you and I have them? Right. That's more than enough for me. That's how he would see it. And I personally, so for me, I feel that there's a really, really fine line between having friendships that can lead into relationships. I totally agree with the stats. Like, there's definitely more of an opportunity there, and you have to be either in a really, really solid relationship. I just think a lot of things have to line up. So I do have male friends outside of my marriage, and I have them in the context of not close friends. Like they're
Got it.
they're more than acquaintances, but not super close, right?
So question.
Yeah.
If your husband was asking you to go out on a Friday night,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, I actually am going out with so and so who's a friend, like,
That wouldn't happen.
No, okay.
And that wouldn't fly. There's no way. My husband would be like, what?
no.
Who's this man? Right. And I think I would be the same way. I'd be like, let me take my earrings off for this. What's going on? What? Oh,
Right.
Excuse me. But yeah, I would. So yeah, that's one of the things. I'm very open about my relationships. I tell him who they are, how I know them,
Right.
what our relationship is, and most of those men are either men that I've known from, prior to my relationship with my husband. So like high school friends or childhood friends.
Right.
This is going to be funny, but when I was in university, I lived with a guy and a girlfriend.
Okay.
The two of them were actually very good childhood friends, and I happened to be the third wheel, and we shared an apartment for a year, and so I'm still in touch with him. I don't go out to coffee with him alone. I don't do anything alone with him. It's always the three of us that go out together when we do connect.
Got it. Yeah.
He's friends with my husband as well. And so anytime anyone's come into my life, I've just been very open about it. And I've just told him, this is who this person is. This is how we know each other. This is how we spend our time together. Most of the men that I spend any time with now are either previous clients that I've coached, or people that have gone through coaching programs with me, or that I meditate with. It's more of that connection of spirituality. Right. It's kind of like if you had a church group. Right. And you hang out with some of the people. But again, I don't hang out with them alone without my husband or without his knowledge.
Got it.
Right. And so, and I have a very, very strict line about how intimate that relationship gets to be. So I don't go to them when I have issues in my marriage and confide in them. I don't.
So what is the intimacy line, would you say? What's intimate?
I think intimate for women is emotional intimacy. So if you're going to someone else and you're confiding in them and you're looking for the things that you want out of your marriage and your relationship, right? That's a sign that you need to go back and turn towards your relationship to figure those things out.
Got it.
If you're like, my husband is not paying enough attention to me, I'm going to go to this person, get attention from them. That's a sign. That's something for you to really look at. Why are you getting attention from someone else? Yes, you have a need that needs to be fulfilled. Go back to your husband and or your partner and let them know, these are my needs and I'm not getting them fulfilled. How can we work on this together? Right? How can I get that from you? It's not that your marriage needs to fulfill every single last thing in your life. Of course, you have things that you do. Say you like to go rock climbing and your partner doesn't. Okay, go rock climbing with a buddy or a group of people and do that thing with them, right? I meditate with people and he doesn't necessarily meditate with me or in the group, and that's okay. I get that need fulfilled, but I also don't go past that. It's very much like, this is what we do together and this is the time we spend together, and I always do it with other people in a group.
So it's not like
right. It's not this one-on-one thing.
But what would you do if it was just one person? What about if that, like, let's say your husband met somebody who fulfilled a certain aspect of him? Yeah. What would be the things that he's allowed to do?
That's a tricky one.
Because I would say nothing. But
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable.
You wouldn't be comfortable? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't see that. Okay, so I'll tell you a story. A few years back, my husband had his childhood girlfriend, whom he had dated for, I don't know, 2-3 years, like through high school. He had found some old artwork that she had with his stuff. So I guess he just stuff that he was going through school. He found this piece of art and he was like, oh, I remember this piece. Like, it was really meaningful to her. I bet she'd really love to have it back. Mm-hmm. And so he said to me, is it okay if I reach out to her and actually go see her and give this to her? And I was like, sure. I mean, he was totally honest about it. He was totally upfront. Met her for coffee, gave her the thing, and they just had a short catch up, and that was that. And I was okay with that. He was very open and honest about it and told me exactly what it was going to be like. I knew when they were going. They didn't spend 5 hours together. You know, they were probably spent an hour catching up over coffee and just, you know, and that was it.
And this was a girlfriend,
This was a previous girlfriend, yeah, from high school. So what, over 20 years ago, right?
Okay, got it.
So, and she's married and, you know, so they were just literally just catching up.
Okay.
In a public place, and I trusted him with that, and I was like, good, go ahead. And then they have not really
Communicated
fostered any sort of
thing.
relationship you know, off of that. So I feel pretty good about that. I'm okay with that. I don't know if he started saying, hey, I'm going to start like if it started to become something where he was hanging out with her or going out, he would be honest with me for sure.
Okay.
My husband's a terrible liar. He cannot. He's such an honest, straight up person that even if he tried, I would be able to see his face like going, right. So we just don't like, he doesn't bother to hide things from me. And so I know he would be really honest about stuff, but I think as a general rule, it's really tricky. I don't know if I kind of feel like it's very much a temptation if you have friends that are of the opposite sex and you're married. It's just, there's a temptation there, right? The thing is, when you have friendships and you have your relationship, you're getting a lot of the same things. There's a lot of overlap. Like when you look for, what are the things that you look for in a good friend? You want someone who is supportive of you.
Right.
You want someone who's loyal to you. You want someone who provides companionship. These are things that you get from your partner in relationship and marriage too, right? You're looking for a lot of the same things.
Absolutely.
So if you're kind of getting a lot of the same things in those relationships, it can cross the line really, really easily, right? At some point. I mean, some of the stats on infidelity are pretty sad. There are, so of divorcees, so if first divorce, 90% of first-time divorcees admit to infidelity.
Wow, that's high.
It's huge across North America. So this is definitely something that happens. And a lot of those relationships start off as friendships. A lot of them. I mean, 66% of relationships start off as platonic relationships first, right? And then eventually go into that intimate territory. That's for young people. That's for
like an answer for our follower.
I know it's not. The stats are kind of against you.
Yeah,
to be honest.
You know, I tried to have a conversation about this with my husband. It didn't go very well because we don't see eye to eye on it. A lot of it has to do with just that idea of trust. You know what I mean? Like he's very stubborn, so he believes that I should just automatically trust a situation. Okay. Whereas I think it's so earnwant, right? And that intimacy that you have in your marriage and your experience through the marriage, you know, you want to make sure that everything's kind of in place before you start a relationship with somebody else. Even if you share certain things with the opposite sex, like a female in your life, it's one of those things where you have to, like, as a man or as a woman in your marriage, you need to look back and say, am I there? Am I available to my wife in the same way, or my partner in the same way? Am I giving my wife or my partner exactly what she needs before I go and fulfill somebody else? You know what I mean? Because even in that platonic relationship, needs are being met.
Yes, correct. Absolutely.
So whether it's just knowing that someone's there,
right,
it's still a need that's being met. Mm-hmm. Let's just say there's nothing being shared between the two other than maybe a phone call or like a, hey, how's it going? How's your day? That's still a need that's being met.
True. Very true. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it is a very questionable question. This whole thing is kind of just like,
you're like, no way.
No, it's so much more complicated than just a one straight answer. And I think when you are married, obviously the stats show when you are married or in a serious relationship, having another person kind of injected into it, whether you like it or not, they are injected into it, is probably a no-go, for that marriage.
Yeah. And I and like, just speaking personally of my friendships, a lot of people that I am in touch with don't live in my city, right? They don't actually live here. So there's really no opportunity for me to go out and have dinner with them alone or anything. But even if they did, I wouldn't. I would
Right.
invite my husband with me. Like it would be a group thing, or it would be like, you know, husband and wife together, or your partner, right? It would be, I would never really try to ever give the opportunity to someone else to even develop feelings for me by being alone with them.
Right.
Right. I know where I stand. I know I'm very strong about that. I don't know where someone else is either. So like, why would I tempt fate?
Especially if they're
Right?
single too. Like what,
Yeah.
like, you know, what
Or
are
divorced.
they,
Yeah.
they're available.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
question.
It's really, it's interesting, but I don't know. I think a lot of people in theory feel like it should be okay and it should work. And if, you know, but from a psychological standpoint and our
And in
experience
practice?
and in practice,
It's
it-
not easy.
it's not easy.
not
It doesn't
easy
really
to
work.
navigate.
It doesn't work well.
No.
And it's hard to keep up. And then why are you putting so much effort into this relation? If you had that much time to put effort into your friendships and keep them all platonic and keep everyone happy, put that time
Same
and
energy into your marriage.
actual relationship, like your intimate
Yes.
relation. That's your number one, I think.
Well, that's my
Right?
opinion.
Yeah.
For sure. That's my opinion. I mean, I can be thrown on the bus for that. It's
No,
totally fine.
you know what? I would agree with you. I do think, though, in practice, I do have friends outside of my marriage. My husband knows all of them and has met whoever I can meet in person. I've brought him with. I always bring him into the mix so he knows. There's
Yeah.
no secrets. We're not hiding anything. We're not talking about anything that you don't know about. So that's how I've tried to keep it really like open and
Yeah.
above board. But I also don't seek out male friendships in particular, and I don't seek out time alone with them or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my time is so limited in my life anyways. I put the time in with him.
So would you
Right.
judge a woman who is single,
Mm-hmm.
hanging out with a married guy?
I would say tread really carefully.
Okay.
Tread carefully, because why is he hanging out with you? Men tend to see those relationships differently than women do. You might be thinking he's great, he's just a friend, and he might not be thinking that.
Yeah.
He's not going to admit that to you. He might be seeing you as a potential. He might have problems in his marriage that you don't know about, and he's fulfilling needs, you know, intimate emotional needs
Right.
with you.
Exactly.
And so you don't want to be a part of that. I mean, emotional infidelity is, let me see, I have a stat on that too. 20% of marriages have emotional infidelities. I mean, don't contribute to it.
Yeah.
If just don't, if you don't need to. I think a lot of people make up the story that they are strong enough, or they are, you know, committed enough in their own life to their own people, for example,
Right.
that, oh yeah, that would never happen to me. And then 6 months in or a year into hanging out with this person, you start developing feelings for them. And then it becomes this, you know, monkey wrench in your life.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the tricky thing. And why would you want more confusion in an already confused
Yes.
world right now?
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. It's such a tough one. It is such a tough one.
Yeah.
But
No, I get it.
This
Are you
is just the
jealous?
opinion.
Are you a jealous type of person, do you think, with your husband?
Not really.
Okay.
But you know, there's sometimes where I'm like, why do you need that?
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
is it
yeah.
that you're missing, right?
Right.
But
I would certainly question it too.
But at the end of the day, I mean, I think we both have different lives, right? We both have our own thing going. So there's not really enough time for us to be like super inundated with these emotions or feelings.
Yeah.
But I think if all of a sudden my husband was just hanging out with somebody on a Friday, Saturday night, and I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
I would be thrown for a loop. I'd be like, no. That's a no. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why that question kind of went like, you know,
Yes.
but where do you draw the line too? Like, is it just going out? Is it, you know, talking on the phone?
I think it's
Is
time
it
spent.
messaging? Time spent.
Time spent.
Any time spent,
Absolutely.
I'd be like,
So if you're messaging that person
Right?
a lot,
yeah,
I mean, women tend to fall into more of the having emotional infidelity more so than men. So it can be some, see, if a lot of friendships, like I said, 66% of relationships started off as friendships. Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what the stat is saying. There's a high chance that you're going to start spending time with someone or being vulnerable with them.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And kind of, that is intimate. That is a form of intimacy. You may not be physically intimate with them, but if you are emotionally intimate too, that's
absolutely.
That's
or
also
like even
there.
if there's something being fulfilled that you're not fulfilling, right?
Yeah.
Like you would feel that way. What about you? Jealous much?
I don't get jealous. I don't want to sound arrogant. I just have a lot of confidence in my husband. Like I really do have a lot of like, we have like very deep trust between us, and we started off as friends. We were friends for 2 years before we started dating.
Oh, that's amazing.
So there's a really strong foundation with us of like really enjoying each other's companies as people.
Oh, that's
right.
awesome.
And if he was getting that from someone else, hell yeah, I'd be like, what? Excuse me? I wouldn't, that would be so out of character for him. I would know immediately something's wrong with us.
Right.
Right. I would know that. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, then I would be jealous. I would be. Yeah. Now that I talk this out with you.
It's absolutely normal to be like, what?
I'd be like, what's going on?
What is happening?
Yeah.
But it's part of, I think, spending, decades with somebody.
Yes.
You're like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
When things come out of the ordinary, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So thank you for talking about this.
That question.
Yeah.
Did it? Well, yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of a hard no.
Yeah.
On it. I'm a softer no. I'm like a no with parameters.
I'm mad at my husband just at the thought of it already. Like nothing's happened, but I'm mad already.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's me.
I would be in shock. I'd be like, what? Excuse me? What do you mean?
You're going to go where on a Friday?
Yeah.
No,
with who?
I don't think so.
You're spending time with someone else other than me? Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. That would be weird.
Yeah.
That would be weird.
Yeah.
I think for me,
but
anyways.
That's obviously from the wife's perspective. So at the end of the day,
I think a lot of men would agree. I don't know if a lot of men would be very happy if their wives had male friendships outside of the relationship.
Show that the men are the ones that are like not able to keep it platonic, right?
Yeah. They don't think they tend to not think of all of their relationships as platonic. I think it's more like they always have that possibility open.
Okay.
Not that they pursue, but there's more of a possibility in a man's mind versus when a woman says that she's doing this, that this is just platonic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, guys. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.